in this week's lab, we're going to look at whether or not we can produce a biofuel from sugar, and we're going to use yeast to be able to do that. And so we're going to try to take the sugar and we're going to convert it into ethanol. Now, ethanol can be burned on its own, or as you see every time you go to the pump, we can add it to the fuels that we use in other ways to enhance their properties, and in the case of the gas for your car, make them burn a little bit cleaner. So what we've done is a week and a half ago, so 10 days ago, we put into this container approximately 40 grams of sugar, that's beet sugar, 1 gram of yeast, and then 35 milliliters of pasture salt. And pasture salt here has in it potassium hydrogen phosphate, calcium phosphate, magnesium sulfate, and then ammonium tartrate. And this is designed to help the yeast to grow. We put that in with 200 milliliters of water and we let it sit. Now this apparatus you see on the top is a water lock, because as fermentation occurs, it produces carbon dioxide, and we never want to seal a container that's going to produce a gas. So this allows the bubbles to escape, but the reason for the water lock is that we don't want other things falling back into the container, so we want to keep it clean. So it allows us to let the gas escape and not other material to go in. So over these last 10 days, hopefully the yeast have been doing their job and they've been eating the sugar and converting that into ethanol for us. And so what we've got now is a mixture of ethanol and water, and then also the other things in here right now. And so what we need to do is we want to figure out how much ethanol we actually produced. So we need some way to separate the ethanol from the water. Now, ethanol and water are essentially 100% miscible, so they completely mix. So we can't use something like a separatory funnel. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go from the liquid state to the vapor state. And in going from one state to the other, we can often cause a separation to occur that we couldn't otherwise. Now, this type of separation or extraction, this happens every time that you make coffee or tea, right? You're separating out the caffeine and the other flavor molecules from the tea leaves or from the coffee grounds. So what we want to do is, now I need to collect my ethanol water mixture here. So I'm going to take the top off of this, and I need to know how much I have. And what I'm going to do is I have a pre-weighed flask here, and I want to decant this slowly because I want the liquid to come over, but I don't want any of the solid material to come over, because I'm going to weigh this so I know what my initial materials are. All right, so when we decant, we just want to pour very, very slowly. Normally I'd set this down on the bench top, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. All right, so we have a nice clear liquid coming over. We want to decant as much as possible, but this is a case where we would actually prefer to lose a little bit instead of contaminate with the yeast cells. So I'm just going really slowly. I'm watching through the bottle. It's a mostly transparent bottle. Now, you guys aren't experiencing this part of it, but I can definitely smell the yeast here. There's a little bit of color here because I've gotten a little bit of yeast coming over. Getting as much as we can. Well, we got a good amount here. All right, I can see the yeast starting to come up there, so we're going to stop there. Okay, so I definitely have a little bit of color to this, but in general, we've got mostly just our ethanol and water. We can still do the distillation, and it'll work well. So I'm going to go take the mass of this, and then I'll be back to set up our next step.